I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We seemed solid, had our ups and downs like everyone does. But for the most part, I thought we had this good, stable life. We built a pretty cool house with an urban vertical farm in the backyard, our little sustainable project. It was the kind of thing I was really proud of, building something eco-friendly and self-sufficient. Lisa even pretended to be into it. She'd show genuine interest when I'd talk about the new vegetable varieties or the latest tech I added to the grow chambers. But lately, I'd noticed her behavior changing. She'd snap at me more often, be dismissive when I brought up my farming projects, and she started going out more without telling me where she was going. I figured maybe she was stressed about work or just tired. Still, I didn't think much of it yet. I trusted her, maybe too much. But trust is a fragile thing, especially when you start noticing little things that don't quite add up. Then came the night I caught her. It was late, around 11 p.m., and I decided to check the security footage from the farm. I'd set up cameras in the grow chambers since I wanted to keep an eye on everything, especially after a few thefts of produce earlier in the year. I figured it was just some petty criminals or maybe a raccoon. But what I saw made my blood turn cold. There she was, Lisa, completely naked, with this guy I'd never seen before, hacking away in the chamber, harvesting more than just vegetables. They weren't just picking greens, they were. I don't even know how to describe it. It looked like they were doing more than just work. My stomach flipped. I replayed the footage 100 times trying to understand what I was seeing. Her touching him touching her. This was no accidental brush or innocent kiss. It was full-on sex. Right there in the chambers where I'd been growing our future. I couldn't believe it. The woman I loved, the woman I'd shared my life with, was cheating on me with some guy who built our farm. It felt like my world just shattered into pieces. I'd always known. Lisa was a bit bitchy, dismissive, kinda manipulative. She'd lie her ass off if she thought it served her. But this was a new level of betrayal I didn't see coming. I kept staring at the footage, trying to process it, trying to understand how someone I thought I knew could do this. I wasn't even angry at first, just numb. How the hell did I miss this? How did I let her get away with it? And the worst part, the sick humor of it. She always acted like she was the one who cared about our sustainable lifestyle, about building something real. Turns out she was just pretending, just playing her little game behind my back. The next morning I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything, feeling this mix of shock, betrayal, and this gnawing rage. She was out like usual, but I already knew what I was going to do. I had to confront her. I couldn't go on pretending everything was fine when I knew the truth. I was hurt, yes, but more than anything, I was pissed off. How dare she lie to my face? How dare she cheat in our own damn farm, in the place where I poured my sweat and dreams? I started drafting what I was going to say, but honestly, I didn't know what to expect from her. I just knew I needed answers, and I needed them now. I didn't want to jump into anything without thinking, but my mind was racing all day. I kept circling back to that footage, to the look on her face when she was caught. I knew she'd lie. She always did. Lisa was a master at spinning stories, twisting things in her favor. She'd deny everything, probably call me paranoid or accuse me of invading her privacy. But I wasn't stupid. There was undeniable proof right there, crystal clear. That evening, I decided I'd confront her. No big dramatic scene or shouting, just straight-up honesty. I told her I needed to talk, that I'd seen something that changed everything. She looked annoyed almost instantly, rolling her eyes like I was bothering her for asking a stupid question. "What now, Mike? You're always accusing me of stuff. Just leave me alone, I'm tired," she snapped, acting like I was the one in the wrong. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, and showed her footage on my tablet. Her face froze for a second, then she started to lie right away. "That's not what it looks like," she said, her tone dismissive. "You're seeing things. Maybe it's some kind of misunderstanding, or maybe it's footage from a long time ago. You're overthinking again." She brushed it off like it was nothing, that I was just being paranoid. I could see the panic hiding beneath her words, though. Her eyes darted around. She was sweating just a little more than usual. I pressed her harder. "Lisa, I know what I saw. Don't lie to me. Who is he? Why are you doing this in the farm chambers we built? Are you seriously cheating right in my face?" Her attitude flipped in an instant. She sneered, rolled her eyes, and snapped back. "Oh, so what, I'm supposed to be perfect now? You think I'm some saint? Grow up, Mike. If you're so into your stupid farm and your little eco projects, maybe I should just leave you to it." Her words stung, but I was past caring about her excuses right now. I wanted the truth. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. I felt this mix of anger and heartbreak, like I'd been punched in the gut. How could she be so dismissive, so callous? I was still trying to process what it all meant. That she'd been sneaking around behind my back, cheating on me in the one place I thought was safe, our farm, our project, our home. It was a slap in the face of everything I believed in. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the little signs I missed, her late nights, her mood swings, the way she'd avoid certain areas of the house if I was near, all the lies she'd told. I replayed the footage again and again, trying to find some way to justify it, to make sense of it. But there was no justification, only betrayal. I felt betrayed not just as a husband, but as a partner in building something meaningful. We poured so much into that farm, our future, our plan for a better life, and she just threw it all away, right in front of me. I was furious, but I also felt a deep, sinking sadness. I realized this was more than just cheating. It was her turning her back on everything we'd worked for, everything we'd built together. And for the first time, I wondered if I had missed the signs, if I'd been too blind to see what was really going on. The trust I had in her was crumbling fast, and I didn't know how I was going to face her again. I knew I had to decide what to do next, but right now, I just felt numb. Like the ground had shifted beneath my feet, and I was left standing there, trying to hold on to what was left of my world. The next day was the worst. I couldn't focus on anything. My head kept spinning with questions I knew I wouldn't get answered easily. The worst part was the sense of betrayal, like she'd taken the trust I gave her and smashed it to pieces without a second thought. I kept revisiting the footage in my mind, trying to figure out what I could have done differently, what I missed, what I ignored. But honestly, all I kept feeling was this growing rage, hot and fierce. I decided I needed to know the full story, the real story, not her bullshit excuses. I started digging into her phone and emails, hoping for some kind of confession or slip-up. She was always vigilant about hiding her tracks, but I knew her habits well enough now. I started noticing little things. She deleted texts, cleared her browsing history, and always acted defensive if I accidentally caught her looking at her phone. It was obvious she was hiding something, but I needed proof. I wasn't just gonna accuse her without hard evidence. So I set a trap. I left my phone open on the table with some messages I knew she'd try to delete. I made sure I was in the next room, pretending to work on some plans for the farm. Sure enough, I saw her sneak over, try to grab my phone, and her fingers hesitated before she started deleting stuff. That was enough for me. She was clearly guilty. Later that night, I confronted her again. I was calm, almost too calm, which probably scared her more. "Lisa, I saw what you did. I watched the footage, I found your messages. Don't even bother denying it anymore," I told her, staring directly into her eyes, her face twisted into this bitchy sneer, like she was annoyed I was making her life difficult. "Oh, so now you're some kind of detective. Wow, Mike, you're really losing it, huh? Maybe you're just jealous because I was having a good time. You're so obsessed with your stupid farm that you forgot we're supposed to be a team." Her words hit hard. I felt this rush of anger, but I kept my voice steady. "You're not a team. You're just a lying, cheating bitch. I saw how you touch him, how you laugh about it like it's some big joke. Do you even care how much this hurts me, how much I trusted you?" She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms, looking like she couldn't be bothered to explain herself. "Honestly, Mike, you're overreacting. It's just sex, okay? It doesn't mean anything. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't even know why I bother." I couldn't believe her. The nerve, her dismissiveness, like I was supposed to just accept her bullshit. I told her I was done. Done with her lies, done with the betrayal. I told her I was going to leave her, that I was done pretending everything was fine. She just shrugged, acting like it was no big deal. "Leave if you want, but you'll be sorry," she spat, then turned her back to me like I was already irrelevant. That moment was like a punch in the stomach. I felt my chest tighten. a mixture of heartbreak and pure rage. I wanted to scream at her, wanted to shake her and make her understand what she'd done. But I just stood there, stunned, feeling like I'd lost more than just my wife. I'd lost the part of myself that trusted in her, that believed she was worth fighting for. Instead, I realized she'd been playing me all along, and I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. I spent the rest of that night trying to process everything. I knew I had to make a decision, but honestly, I felt so numb I wasn't sure if I could. I was hurt, yes, but also angry as hell. How do you forgive something like this? How do you move past it? All I knew was that I couldn't keep pretending, couldn't keep living in this lie. I had to face the truth, that the woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, was gone, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered world. The days that followed were a blur. I stayed in the house, avoiding her, feeling like I was walking on thin ice. Every time I saw her, I could feel that wave of anger bubbling just beneath the surface. It was like I was constantly on edge, waiting for her to slip up or say something that would push me over the edge. I kept going over everything in my mind, trying to figure out what my next move should be. I knew I couldn't stay in this limbo forever. I either had to confront her again or just cut ties and walk away. One afternoon, I decided I couldn't avoid it anymore. I called her into the living room and told her I needed to talk. Her usual bitchy attitude was on full display right away, like she was already gearing up for another round of lies. "What now, Mike? You gonna accuse me of more crap?" she said, crossing her arms and giving me that smirk that always made me want to punch her, but I held it together. I had to be calm, at least on the outside. "I've made a decision," I said, voice steady but firm. "I'm done pretending I don't know what's been going on. I saw everything. Your lies, your secret meetings, the sex in the farm chambers. I can't trust you anymore, Lisa. And honestly, I don't want to stay married to someone who would do this to me." Her eyes widened for a second, then she rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, please. You're overreacting. You always blow things out of proportion. Whatever. If you're so obsessed with your stupid farm and your perfect little life, then go ahead and leave. I don't need you anyway." That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep pretending she cared. I told her I was leaving that very night. I gathered a few things, feeling like I was packing up my life, my dreams of a future with her, my hopes for that farm, everything we'd built. It was like I was stripping myself of everything I'd ever believed in. Because if she could betray me like this, then what was the point of staying? When I was all packed, I looked at her one last time. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, acting like it was just another day. I said, "This is goodbye, Lisa. I hope someday you realize what you lost." She just looked up at me with that smirk, the one that always made my skin crawl. "Good luck, Mike. Hope you find what you're looking for." And then she shrugged like I was already irrelevant. I walked out the door feeling a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. My chest was tight, and I swear I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. I knew I was doing the right thing, but it didn't make it hurt any less. The house I'd built with her, the life I thought was ours, gone in a matter of hours. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, like she'd taken everything good I had and thrown it in the trash. Now I was out in the world alone, with only my thoughts and that damn farm. That farm was supposed to be our future, our redemption, but now it just felt like a reminder of everything I lost. I wasn't sure what hurt more, the betrayal or the fact that I'd loved someone who didn't love me back enough to stay faithful. But one thing was clear. I needed time. Time to heal, to figure out what I really wanted, and to get over the sinking feeling that I'd been played for a fool. I guess in the end I learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's damn near impossible to fix. The weeks that followed were a test of my patience and my resolve. I moved out of the house into a small apartment nearby just to get some space from her, the space I desperately needed. Every day I'd go to the farm early in the morning, not to tend the plants but to clear my head. That farm, which I poured so much of myself into, now felt like a betrayal monument, a reminder of how I'd been lied to and used. It was supposed to be my escape, my sustainable future. Turns out it was her playground for her secret affair. I spent hours staring at the growing chambers, thinking about everything I'd built, everything I'd hoped for. The betrayal cut deep because I trusted her not just as my wife but as my partner in this entire journey. She told me she was into the lifestyle, that she cared about sustainability, about building something meaningful. Turns out she was just pretending. All those late-night talks, all the shared dreams, they were all a lie. She was out there, screwing around, harvesting more than just vegetables in my chambers. One day, I finally decided I needed to see her again, just to get some clarity. I went to her place, expecting her to act dismissive or bitchy as usual, but she surprised me. She opened the door looking a little nervous, maybe realizing I wouldn't go away quietly. "What do you want, Mike?" she asked, her voice dripping with attitude. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I wasn't going to play her game anymore, that I knew everything, that I was done being a fool. She sneered and tried her usual gaslighting tactics. "You're crazy. You're just jealous because I was having sex with someone else. Big deal. It doesn't mean I don't love you, or maybe I love myself more," she snapped. I felt my jaw tighten, the bile rising in my throat. I knew she spin it make me the villain, but I wasn't backing down. "I don't care what you say," I told her. "You crossed a line, Lisa. You lied, you cheated, and you disrespected everything we had. I won't be part of your lies anymore. I don't want to be with someone who treats me like I'm nothing." Her face twisted into this angry expression, but I saw the flicker of something else, fear maybe, or regret. No. She was just trying to hold her ground like she always did. I left her standing there, feeling a strange mix of relief and bitterness. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to scream or cry. I'd lost someone I thought I loved, but now I was finally starting to see her for who she really was. The person who could lie with such ease, cheat in the most sacred place we'd built together, and act like it was no big deal. I had to accept that this was the end, that I'd have to pick up the pieces of a broken life and figure out what came next. For now, I was just trying to breathe, trying to understand how someone could be so dismissive of the vows we made, so callous about my feelings. I knew I'd be angry for a long time. I also knew I'd need to forgive myself someday for trusting her so completely, despite all the warning signs. I didn't want to be bitter forever, but I also knew I'd carry this pain for a while. It was a hard lesson in trusting your instincts, and in realizing that sometimes the people you love the most can hurt you the deepest. I was broken, but I was still standing. Barely maybe, but alive, and that was what mattered now. The hardest part now is trying to move forward. I won't lie, some days are better than others. The betrayal still gnaws at me, and I catch myself wondering how I missed all the signs, how I was so blind to her manipulations. I built this farm, this whole sustainable lifestyle, believing we were in it together. But now I see it was just a cover, a distraction for her to hide her lies while she was out there, doing God knows what with the designer of our urban farm. I spend more time on the farm than I ever did before, not because I want to, but because I need to. I need to reconnect with the part of myself that I lost in all this chaos. I've come to realize that I was more than just a husband. I was a fool for trusting someone who turned out to be so much better at pretending than I was at reading her. That trust, once shattered, is almost impossible to rebuild, and I don't think I want to try anymore. Not with her. Not with someone who lied about everything. In some strange way, the whole ordeal has changed me. I used to think that building a sustainable, eco-friendly life was enough, a kind of armor against the world's chaos. But now I see that trust, honesty, and respect matter more. You can't grow anything, vegetables or otherwise, if your foundation is built on lies. The farm's still here, the plants are thriving, and I take solace in that. It's a reminder that even amidst destruction, life finds a way. I've learned that revenge is a double-edged sword. I wanted to hurt her to make her feel the pain she caused me, but I also realized that holding onto that anger only keeps me chained to the past. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about finally letting go of the bitterness that eats you alive. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. For now, I focus on rebuilding myself, piece by piece, and making sure that I don't let someone else's betrayal define me. Looking back, I can honestly say that this has been one of the toughest lessons of my life. Trust is fragile, and sometimes the people closest to you can betray you in ways you never expected. But I also know that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived. I'm still standing, and I'm determined to keep going, alone if I have to. This whole experience has taught me that I need to trust myself more, listen to that little voice that tries to warn me, and never again ignore the signs. So, to anyone out there who's going through something similar, trust your gut, even if it's uncomfortable. Don't ignore the red flags. And never forget, you are worth more than someone who hurts you, who lies to you, who cheats in the very place you built your dreams. I might be hurt, but I'm still alive. And someday I'll find peace with what happened. For now, I keep planting, keep growing, because that's what life about, rebuilding from the dirt up.